All right, welcome to Crossroads Podcast number 70.
Dang.
I'm the astronaut from another galaxy, Jake Ryan.
Yes, sir. And I am just some hobo dressed up in some Nike SB.
Dude, that's some nice duds for a hobo.
Yeah. You guys hooked it up just so I could look fly for the podcast. Then you're gonna fucking kick me right out.
Dude, then you're out of here. Back, give me the shirt, back to your scrubs. And
Yep.
you know.
Hell yeah.
And you're never welcome back here again. I just used you for the Facebook and YouTube clout.
It was just the 70 episodes.
Just the 70 episodes. That's it.
Yep. That's all you get.
All right. Should we hit the intro?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Run it.
Let's see if I know what I'm doing. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. You know what? I don't know what I'm doing. Because
why is
that? Forgot how to do this.
Is this video just the end? Or no, that's the whole thing, right?
No, I need to hit the share the sound before I mess it up.
Oh.
There's a place where deals are made and legends are born. You boys know what to do. Sure, we know what to do. And that is not to let the devil know anything.
Yes, sir.
Went down to the Crossroads. You remember, of course, watching Crossroads. The first time I seen it was with you.
Yeah.
Steve Vai and Ralph Macchio.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a classic.
For sure.
You've been playing your guitar at all?
I haven't really been playing a lot, man. I haven't even really been doing anything musically. Last music thing I did was the song for the new intro on my podcast.
Oh yeah, that was a cool intro.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun to make. But I'm still I'm already wanting to change it, just try to make something better.
Well, that's cool. It's always good to experiment until you find something you're happy with.
For sure. I mean, because I feel like I could do that kind of retro 90s aesthetic, but mixed with something that's kind of futuristic in the same way. Like here, I'll show you what I was working on earlier. Am I allowed to screen share?
Yeah, I hit the multiple screen share.
Word. All right.
Dang, you got a lot of tabs. Is that what I see?
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, I made this earlier.
Oh, I don't know. That's sick.
I don't know what it was for exactly, but I'm just thinking of this vibe, if I could have somehow 90s stuff mixed with this kind of I don't know, brutalist. Awesome. Hell yeah, thanks, bro.
Dude, you could even release Dummyhead music.
I mean,
it looks like an album cover or something.
It does, yeah. I was thinking of a splash screen or just something I could throw up.
Yeah, it does make me think of well, if you had it if you had another screen behind you with that on the.
Well, I was thinking about what you're talking about with Teespring.
Dude, I was just gonna say that.
It'd be a cool just tapestry on the wall or a poster. But I always
even a t-shirt that dude just chilling there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. See, I started with, I wonder if I could find it. I was looking up Crash Test Dummies and they have this little toy. That's what this guy is. I might actually buy it because it's kind of cool.
Nice.
I don't know where it was. Oh yeah.
Nice.
So it was based off of this. Why does it keep doing that? But yeah.
I like the color scheme too. The black, purple, and green.
Right. Yeah.
Just that guy would be pretty cool as your like icon for the
I was thinking too, because even with the other logo that I got, like that's an actual product.
right.
So I don't know how that works exactly as far as like copyright type stuff, you know? If you're using someone else's product as your logo, basically.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't really know. Like if it was the actual picture of the product, if it was like
Mhm.
a digitized version, I don't know. I guess it really all depends because it's like you could put a pair of I think all has to do with like logos or trademarked
Yeah.
images and stuff like that.
Well, like if I bought that toy and then I took a picture of it and then I turned that into like a digital drawing or whatever, like at that point, it's basically like your drawing, right?
Well, yeah, for sure. And
As
you
long as
know,
it doesn't have like their branding on it or their logo or something.
yeah, plus I think that those crash test dummy things are kind of like almost public domain ish,
I mean, yeah, yeah, it's pretty ubiquitous.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, dude, I was
Jinx, we both
yeah,
said
but
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
all I got is Zion's.
Zions? You
Zion's
know, I don't ever
energy.
drink Zions.
That's like all I drink, dude. I don't really I like it
Rockstar.
because it's no sugar, but yeah.
I do
It's like
drink the
not too
sugar-free
sweet.
Rockstars,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just like I don't know. I never really got into them other energy drinks. I've had Science, not a fan of Monster.
Yeah.
I've had Red Bull, but I'm not even a fan of Red Bull.
I like Red Bulls every once in a while, but
They make my stomach hurt.
yeah.
Yeah, I never got into any of the other stuff. I would try like 5-hour energies and stuff like that. Rhino Rush. You ever have Rhino Rush?
No.
I think they changed the ingredients because it used to be made with ephedra,
Yep.
and ephedrine. I think it's a precursor for ephedrine,
Mm-hmm.
which they use to like make meth.
Yeah.
So I think it's in like Molly and stuff like that. I mean, I used to have that shit and just get like fucking jacked.
Just geeked.
I'd be like, I write a whole page of lyrics and be like, God, this sucks.
Shit. I need to find me some of that, man, because I've been like, I'll just get so tired at work. And I'm like, I don't know. Part of me thinks it could be just the caffeine, you know, like just having all that
Crashes.
caffeine. Yeah, not necessarily crashes, but just like after years and years and years, you got to think it does something to your like your natural energy levels and your body's ability just to convert fucking food into energy, you know, or
Yeah.
to feel it. Because that's what caffeine does is it doesn't wake you up. It just blocks that molecule that stops your like your brain doesn't feel tired. Like it blocks that adapter.
Oh, really? That's
Mm-hmm.
weird. Well, see, I try to like wait a little while. Like I've heard if you wait like an hour and a half, the cortisol in your body like creates itself to the level of when you do have caffeine later, you're not supposed to like you're supposed to have more natural energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've heard. I've also heard that your body produces it better between like 7 and 9 a.m.
Right.
I'm not really sure. I've tested it a few times, but what I've realized is if I usually just like wake up for like an hour or so and then get to work and kind of start working, I usually
Yeah.
have energy anyways by then.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's part of the reason why I wake up so early is it's like if I just gotta wake up and get right to work, dude, I'm like so miserable. I don't I was never really like that when I was younger either, but I just can't see how people do that, man.
I used to like wake up like 15 minutes before I gotta leave.
Yep.
Like I don't even know if I would always shower. I now I shower before I head into work. Like at least kind of rinse off and
Yeah,
just wakes me up.
for sure.
But if I sweat in the middle of the night too, I'm like, dude, I feel fucking ugh.
I mean, I won't be showering before work, but I
I
mean,
shower
definitely.
before and after,
Yeah.
and that usually just twice. But
I mean,
try to
that's not
brush
a
my
bad
teeth like
idea.
3 times a day.
In the morning? Oh,
Yeah.
3 times just before you go to work?
Yeah, so I brush like 12 times a day. My teeth are
Yeah.
falling out now. No.
You're like, "Hold up, I'll be right back." You're just, like, addicted to brushing your teeth.
Dude, yeah, totally. I need the fluoride. I'm addicted to
You
the fluoride, man.
you definitely can brush too much.
Yeah,
Too
your
much
like
of anything,
gums
man.
start to,
Just, like, falling out.
dude, for real. Yeah, I was not feeling too good recently when me and my kids had COVID. And,
Yep.
I pretty much just woke up one day feeling hungover.
Yeah.
And obviously I haven't felt that way since I quit drinking. And although the day before we were hanging sheetrock, which we don't ever do.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, my body's gonna be hurting in many ways, but I was like, dude, something's up. And I was working around people that recently have had
Been exposed.
corona. Yeah, so I was like, well, it might happen. So I had like 5 days of quarantine and with
Mhm.
my kids in the one room with me. It wasn't too bad. A few of those days just sucked. I was just like dead.
Yeah.
But play some video games, watch some movies, and
Mhm.
then my kids just started getting like at each other's throats,
Oh, yeah.
you know. But
"Oh, get us the fuck out of here."
dude, for real, yeah. And luckily my wife didn't get sick, so
Yeah. That's good.
yeah. But I watched The Munsters. Have you seen that one yet?
Nah.
It's pretty good. Rob Zombie made it.
Okay.
You remember the old show at all? The Munsters?
Yeah, I think so.
It's black and white, like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Frankenstein and
Mhm.
yeah, the new one's cool. It's like really vivid colors.
Was it like a show or a movie?
It's a movie. It's, you know, like I guess you could say like a comedy, not really a horror movie, but there's definitely
Mhm.
some monsters and stuff.
Kinda like a I mean, he's done other movies too, right? What was it other ones that he did?
Well, he did like a version of Halloween, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's
That's what I was thinking of.
Rejects.
Right, yep. Yeah, it's kinda got that rocker vibe to it where it's, like, pretty fucking some heavy shit, but it's also, like, kinda funny in a way.
Yeah, and the Herman Munster guy, he does become like a famous like punk rock guy or whatever in
That's
the
funny shit.
show. So it was cool. I like Rob Zombie's stuff. I would like to do stuff like that one day. Obviously, he's got Hollywood connections and that's what I
Yeah.
think watching that stuff too. I'm like, man, the budget for this movie was like, you know,
Dude, yeah. I mean, I'm just waiting for fucking Mr. Beast to start making movies, like,
is
at
he
a certain
planning on
point
it?
I'm sure he is. Dude is planning to run for fucking president.
That
But,
would be crazy.
I mean, his whole thing is, like, all the money he makes, he just puts it back into the videos. So, the more money he makes, with all his different revenue streams and different channels and stuff, each one just gets bigger and bigger. So eventually he's gonna be spending, like, $100 million on just one project or whatever.
I could see him making well, one day somebody's gonna make a documentary about him.
Yeah.
And
Shit.
Dude, he's like
Let's
one of
do
my
it.
biggest inspirations, really. Yeah, dude.
He was just on the TMG podcast. I don't know if you ever checked that one out.
I don't really ever watch that, but I've seen some clips from it.
Yeah. It was pretty good. Like um he was talking about making a movie up for Netflix where like he's just actually killing people in it. It's like he plays himself, you know, but he's like doing some like Hunger Games, Squid Games type shit, you know.
That would be interesting.
Because
You
that's the thing
know,
everybody says is like, dude, he's got to be evil. Like nobody's that cool.
I know Mr. Beast. Well, see what I think is interesting, and I'll see these people all the time that'll be like, I feel like one of the dynamics of his is also the stuff where, because I'll see a lot of things that's like, all right, we're going to Walmart today, and we're gonna give people the option of, do you want $1,000 or do you want to give somebody $10,000?
Yep.
And some people are like, oh, take the 1,000, and others are like, oh, I'll just give 10,000 to this pregnant lady.
Right.
And then he's like, awesome. Now you also get $10,000 for making that choice.
Yep.
And, you know, of course I like dream to be able to do something like that one day. But I don't want to be, I think he goes about it in a good way. Cause I'll also see people on the internet that, you know, a lot of their stuff is just based around like, I'm going to go to this homeless person and give them a wad of cash
Yeah.
and film it. And sometimes it'll make me like want to cry. So I'm like, oh my God, this is powerful. But
Right.
I'm also like, I don't know, it's kind of clout chasey.
For sure. It is. Yeah. I mean, even Mr. Beast would say that probably, you know, like maybe that's not the reason he's doing it, but he's pretty self-aware to the fact where it's like, yeah, there's gonna be people talking shit on it just because you're filming it, you know. But after a certain point when you're helping so many people, you know, and you got food banks and you're cleaning up the ocean and planting trees and shit, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, like these people that are just like, oh, he's just doing it for YouTube. Like, all right, man, what are you doing?
Well, and that's what I'm trying to figure out is like, how do I start to do something like that? So, like, I'm like, I got to start small. Obviously, I don't have like $10,000 to just give away, but I'm
Yeah.
like, how could I start doing things to help people in the community to the point where it's like one day I would be able to do something like that or whatever it may be. I don't know. Like I remember seeing Mr. Beast say that he had a sponsor give him so much money for a video and then he took that and helped somebody, which in turn probably created more revenue
Mm-hmm.
from whatever ads and viewers and stuff where other sponsors might even be like, okay, I want to do that too.
Yeah.
And, you know, like you said, Mr. Beast just kept building and building and building on that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he was he was making videos before he did anything like that, but he was just doing like anything, you know.
Like say
Count,
Logan Paul for 24 hours or
yeah, count to 100,000.
that was
Fucking like
smart.
he actually did cut a table in half with a plastic knife.
What?
Yeah, dude. Like it wasn't. I don't think it was just one plastic knife. Like he had packs of them because they would just get dull, you know. And so he switched to another knife, and he cut this plastic like folding table, like I got, just in half with the fucking. But
That's
yeah,
insane.
he's just making mad videos, you know, and and then he finally got a brand deal. And he's like,
Well,
well, if I just go out and give this away, then for sure that video is gonna do pretty well. You know, you're just giving away 10,000.
see, I know it's such a generic thing. Like people are like, I want to be a YouTuber when I grow up.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely do want to build that for Like, I love making YouTube content anyways, but for myself, of course, to become successful, and then, my kids, because I'm like, dude, as my kid grows up, he loves to make videos. My daughter loves to make videos.
Hmm.
I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. I think the business will always be there, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and even even just since the pandemic, the way that has changed how people consume like entertainment, people aren't just wanting to be entertained, they like want to form a connection with like individual people.
That's
Like
true.
on Twitch, since the pandemic, there's been a lot more creators who are just people, they're just talking, or they're just like surfing the web, and just kind of commenting on that. And even like with Kenny Beats, like Kenny Beats blew up during the pandemic, and it wasn't always just about the music, it was like just about some of the shit he'd say, how he'd interact with the chat, and but he built a big old community, and that's how it was for me. I was like, dude, this is dope. Just to, we're all going through this pandemic shit together, but we got this kind of like community where they have like beat battles and fucking its own, inside jokes and all that. But
Well, that's the other thing I'm trying to work on again now.
I was just saying though that like the that style of just like you just being yourself and doing your thing and making videos about literally anything, and people will, I mean, not always, but if you can find a way to be entertaining in your own way, I think that's the biggest thing. Because god damn it, um like with Mr. Beast, or anybody like that, like it just takes so, some people are faster than others, but it just takes so long to find your way of being entertaining.
Yeah, I think I do like almost those kind of like vlog-ish type things. And just seeing people like being real as well, and not having to make like a super exaggerated version of their life.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know, there's something about, like you say, okay, so I've been trying to capture more clips of my life, even just
Yep.
like, yo, like today, I go to my group meeting in the morning on Saturdays, and so I'm heading out. I'm like, it's super foggy, right?
Yeah.
Can't even see down the highway. I'm like, well, I'll click my phone on and be like, yo, it's super foggy out. I'm heading to my group, whatever. And then after it, turn my phone on as I drive, kind of like talk to the phone or the audience,
Hmm.
and just kind of like process a bit of like the topics and how I can relate to it. And just even the other little things in life, I'm realizing sometimes as I try to capture moments of my life, they might not be the most exciting things. Like it's like, oh, I'm back home and there's my dog like barking because he's excited to see me. But sometimes I take those little things for granted, like, oh, it's foggy morning.
Hmm.
And there's just something about my perception is like life's a little more entertaining.
For sure.
Uh,
I totally feel that. It's the same with just taking pictures too, like if you just have your eyes open looking for those things that would be like, man, that would make a cool picture. Um, or if you just do that more often, then you're just more likely to see those things. And I don't know, when you capture something, like you capture it on camera, but you also kind of make a mental note of it. It's like, oh yeah, I was like appreciating this moment right here.
yeah, dude. Maybe one day it'll be like Black Mirror, where it's like our eyes are the camera, and we can like zoom in and be like, oh, I gotta adjust my focus. I'm like, click,
That'd be sick,
and
dude.
you just automatically upload it to like the cloud or your Instagram account. Like,
Yeah, the couple of those episodes are pretty fucked up though. Like,
oh hell yeah!
Did you see the one where the dude was like in the cabin out in the like snowy wilderness or whatever, and he's sitting there talking with the dude, the fucking I can't remember his name. But yeah, and he's like figuring out this story. Um, have you seen this one yet or what? So I'll
Keep
stop
explaining
explaining
it.
it. Well,
I'm pretty sure I've watched them all.
it's with the dude from Mad Men, like one of the that main character dude. I can't remember his name, but yeah, and he's like interrogating him basically, and he's trying to figure out the story of how he was with this woman, and they have these things in their eyes or brain or whatever where um you can like block people
Oh
basically.
yeah, I remember that one. They turn
Yeah,
all like fuzzy and staticky.
yeah,
Can't
yeah.
hear them at all.
I mean, it'd be kind of, I don't know, it'd be cool, but it'd be fucked up. But like, dude, that'd be so dope if you could just block people in real life.
Well, yeah, and it's almost kind of scary too. Like it'd be that type of thing of like you get a phone call, you want to ignore it, or the ideas of getting hacked
Yeah,
and people capturing things where they're like, people already do like revenge porn where like I got a video of us fucking or you naked or whatever. Now
yep,
you broke up with me or you cheated on me and I'm gonna post this onto Reddit or
yep.
whatever. They're just like, I'm gonna put this out on Pornhub. I don't know. And you know because in my mind I'm like, well, that's, I believe, a lot of people's goals as well, like the mad scientists out there. And I mean, think these robots they're making. I'm like, man, those things could be out already, like surveilling, just society.
Dude.
Like when you go to Walmart and you see the cameras looking at you and they're like scanning you. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you gotta think, dude, like in other countries they have like the CCTV that's just like out on the streets, you know?
Mm.
I don't think we have that here, like as far as like the whole country. I'm sure they do in bigger cities, but um yeah, dude, that shit's it's gotta be happening.
Yeah, and I didn't lose friends, but that I guess you could say they went off the grid, sort of, not totally like in the mountains,
Yeah.
but unplugging from the internet in ways of and even beyond the internet to like phones. And I think there's just a lot of paranoia and conspiracies of the government's watching, man.
Yeah, I don't think it's I mean, unless you're really up to something, um, like it's not that I don't care because I've always hated that argument of like, well, I've got nothing to hide, so what's it matter? But it's not that they're trying to watch you and make sure you're, not up to no good or anything. They're just trying to sell you shit. Like I'm sure these big giant corporations have lobbyists and shit that make them able to get everybody's information and sell them exactly what they're already going to buy or what,
True that. I do also think kind of similar to that show, that Black Mirror episode, which I think maybe some of that stuff had to do with like murder or something where they're like, this person's dead. And, so if they could like hack, like go through people's like, it was almost like all of their moments of life were recorded.
Yeah.
So somebody, they could go back through it and be like, well, we can obviously see that you murdered her.
Yep.
And so I'm like, well, I think phones probably do that too. When people are like, oh, they're listening to us through our phones. And I'm like, well, if they could probably go back and retrace things where they're like, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, we've got these, we can hear you guys fighting like this. And I'm like, how'd that get captured?
I have no idea.
I mean, it's like obviously Johnny Depp could have hit record on his phone, but I'm like, dude, iPhones and Apple, they probably have a database where it's like they can hear, they could probably retrace it back to that. I mean, surveillance probably goes that deep in your little whatever, your privacy terms and conditions. A lot of
Well,
that
that's what I
stuff's
was gonna
probably in
say.
it.
That's what I was gonna say is we all agree to this shit.
Yeah, true.
I mean, that's just the thing is you could either be on the internet and kind of not care a little bit or just ignore it, or you have to get off the internet, because if you're on the internet, then you're for sure being tracked some way, you know.
Yeah, and even if you're not on the internet, I'm like, you're being tracked. And I don't think it's that bad of a thing. Like, I don't like the ideas of when people are like, I implanted my child with a tracking device so that I I don't know, like I get it, because I have kids and of course human trafficking is a real issue in the world.
Well, that was a Black Mirror episode too.
Wait, it was?
Yeah, she was tracking her child.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep,
I can't
that
really
one
remember
was
how
fucked
it
up.
ended, but the mother could
I
watch
remember
her.
how it ended. Yeah.
What happened?
I mean, I'm gonna spoil the shit out of this, but
Well, I've
she
seen it, but
well, I know, but other people might have not seen it. But yeah, she like tracked her until she's like a teenager, and then she started getting into trouble, and then she decided to take it out, and then I think she started watching it again, and I can't remember exactly what led up to it, but yeah, she ended up like killing her mom.
oh. Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing is like people do need that privacy. It's not like, your parents need to be. I remember it was something like when she was hooking up with a dude for the first
Yeah,
time.
and she's like doing coke.
Oh yeah. And I don't know. I think that stuff is just kind of like you say, the way you raise somebody.
Hmm.
If you're too in their face or too restrictive, then they're going to rebel sometimes. Or,
Yeah.
there's a difference between like discipline and, like, say the Asians. I feel like they have like that's really important.
Asians.
Well, I think it is in their culture
Yeah, for
where
sure.
they're like, you come in the house, you take your shoes off.
Hmm.
And stuff like that, or like respecting your elders in certain ways, or just like, hey son, just those little things of like the way you behave. And
Yeah, and like keeping respect within your family name type stuff.
and the traditions sometimes, like, just keeping all your heritage in mind of like, well, this is how we've all conducted ourselves for generations, this way my granddad raised my dad to be. And things like that just get lost in, you
Yeah.
know, especially when people started like getting too fucked up, where they're like, oh, dude, my dad's an alcoholic, and they just didn't give a shit about raising me.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I think that way of parenting though is becoming a lot more common. Um just with people with our age, because like we could see all these different examples, and just kind of, I don't know, the whole like woke thing, and like people really really trying to like virtue signal basically is, it is what it is, but you know I think it does kind of force people to like really look at their own virtues, and like your own values. And I think that's just becoming a lot more common just in general, like with more people that are level-headed and not really looking at it as like a team thing, because it's fucking stupid if you think about it like that, like, oh, I'm on team, we do
Oh yeah,
right over here, and you're on team, you do wrong. Well, like,
yeah, that's true.
if you just look at it like, yeah, these are good things to value, and like I said, you can see examples all over the internet of people doing it wrong.
Well, it makes me think of because obviously I'm in this like my life is like recovery type stuff, and it will be that way for like the rest of my life because it's like you know God forbid if there was a relapse. I've relapsed multiple times in my past, but I'm like, yeah, that's just what it would be, and then it would eventually be the road back to recovery,
Yeah.
and so like my TikTok or even my like YouTube Shorts feed, like one of the communities on TikTok that I'll see, and it's not so much like an advice thing, but more just like people telling their stories of being like, yo, I was you know, partying hard, and then I started realizing some of these things about like my parents and my childhood and the way I am now. So I had to get sober because my life was getting all fucked up. And that's something I think I see. I don't know if it's something I see more in our generation where
Hmm.
you're saying like this virtue signaling or whatever, where some people are just waking up to the fact that it's like, wait a minute, I actually am an alcoholic, for example, and I have these like childhood traumas or whatever that are why I act this way. So I need to do something so that I don't do this to my kids.
For sure.
So I don't know. Hopefully, like we're talking about this generational behavior stuff. Because, dude, I know tons of people that are like, I guess you could say my parents' generation, where, some people get cleaned up, but I feel like a lot of them are just like, they're never going to change.
For sure.
They're beyond that point.
Yeah. It's I don't know, man. Sometimes it's hard to have hope about shit like that. I mean, and like you're saying too, with the older generation, like for the most part, they're not going to change unless they're willing to. And sometimes people do, man. Sometimes people way later in life finally are like, damn, I was being an idiot for like 50 years.
Yeah, dude. And it's crazy. I guess that's the thing about it is like our biology. And that was one of my biggest reasons why I was like, dude, I still need to work out more. I think that like every day.
Yeah.
Because even if I don't, sometimes I'll feel like I'm getting weaker,
Yep.
where I'm like, oh man, my biceps, I need to get or my
Hmm.
chest. And not even just for like looking better or whatever, but I'm like, dude, I'm going to need this strength. Like as I grow older,
For sure.
I'm going to get more frail. And even if I'm actively working like construction stuff,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, your body just gets used to that anyways. It's not like you're going to
Yeah. For sure.
develop more muscle, you just probably stay like fit.
Thing with that type of shit too is you're not doing the same stuff every day. One day you might be like, dang, I actually got a good workout in, like you just have to lift a bunch of shit or something. But
Hmm.
there's other days where you're just doing your normal job and it's like, you know, it's not like it's not a lot of work, but it's just not. It's like you have to lift to get big. That's the only way you get bigger.
And pump.
I mean, you just have to lift heavy stuff. Like you're not going to get big muscles by doing a million reps of 10 pounds. Like you need to lift really heavy stuff.
Yeah. And even if you're just doing it like 5 or 10 reps
Hmm.
of a heavier set, and I remember you saying that on your podcast too. And I'm actually like, that's another thing I want to do on my YouTube channel. Cause I'm like, it might help me to be like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm gonna do a 30-day thing. Like I'm to do whatever, take like my day or two to recover or whatever. But I'm like, I
Hmm.
don't know, get an app on my phone that's like do these every day and then, test myself for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year.
Hmm.
And, whatever, take my pictures and be like, ding, ding, ding. This is the the physical transformation.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
And it, you know, because stuff like that can inspire people, and just
Yeah.
somebody else out there might be like, oh, you know what? I think it's time for me to fucking put down the donuts and the beer
Yeah.
and, you know, pick up the weights.
Well, I feel like because I got into it for a bit, and I definitely need to get back into like a schedule. But I for sure got into it because when I first started listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, like I got super into running, and then I started lifting stuff and just doing like a full body split throughout the week. And I felt like it was like the perfect exercise routine, you know, because it'd be like Monday was back, Tuesday would be like shoulders and abs, Wednesday is actually, I think that's exactly what it was. But yeah, Wednesday would be like biceps, Thursday is legs, and then it was 2 rest days. And I think Thursday, or no, Wednesday was a rest day, Thursday legs, Friday, I can't remember, but and then Sunday was a rest day. But yeah, dude, I got into it for a minute, and I was like starting to get pretty like defined, you know, like looking like fucking Bruce Lee. Like
Hell
I
yeah.
never really got like big or anything, but
Start to chisel out.
oh, for sure, dude. Like,
Yeah.
and I never thought I could even get like that, you know? Like a lot of it was diet too, because I wasn't, if you just want to gain and get big, like that's when they tell you just to eat like 1,000 carbs a day and just get like as many calories as you can possibly get, and like get enough protein and stuff too, but just eat and eat and eat and lift, and like you could get big, you know, but I was still trying to maintain a body fat percentage, but I was just getting fucking shredded, dude.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'm gonna work on getting myself back on a better schedule. What I need to do is, you know, basically sometimes, you know, I used to have a habit of in the morning, you know, I'd wake up, get ready, I'd do like push-ups, at least push-ups. I didn't really do my sit-ups in the morning, but I do like 25 push-ups,
Mm-hmm.
and then like meditate for just a few, while I'm just kind of like chilling out after doing some push-ups,
Yep.
you know, for like 2 to 5 minutes, just kind of like breathing and like just trying to chill out my mind and get ready for the day. And I'm like, if I could break the 25 push-ups into like 4 times a day, you know, 100 push-ups a
Mm-hmm.
day. If I could do that same for sit-ups, and, you know, at least when I get back home from work, to do something real quick, like, yo, I'm gonna do some curls
Right.
or whatever it may be, some squats,
Mm-hmm.
and just, you know, get that in for at
For
least a
sure.
bit, and then, you know, break a sweat. Because I
Yeah.
noticed I'm like, man, I had to break a sweat, because then I know I'm actually like pushing myself.
For sure. That's what was cool about running was like I feel like it's really good for your body and your skin to sweat like out of your all over your pores, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, yeah, just running, like you'd be out there and snowing, you know, and you're just dripping sweat.
That is a weird feeling when I'd be like skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I'm sweating and it's cold outside.
Yeah.
But our bodies are pretty amazing how we can adapt to this, you know, work in different weather. And that's what I was talking to homie about when I was like, we're hanging drywall. I'm like, man, how do you like hanging drywall in the wintertime? It's like, fucking sucks.
Yeah.
You know, because there's no heat yet. And then when we get in there with the mud, you have to have heat, otherwise it'll freeze.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, this is one of the reasons I chose that field, because I don't want to be outside framing
Right.
or any of that in the winter. And here, We got a lot of cold months in Montana.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they're coming up too.
yeah, dude. How's the weather been out there?
Pretty nice.
Been nice
Been
here.
nice out.
You guys have some gnarly storms at all?
Nah, man. It's just been nice.
Sweet.
Perfect fall weather.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to fall. It's one of my favorite seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Halloween.
Yep. Spooky season.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites for
Oh,
sure.
dude. I watched that Dahmer show on Netflix.
I've been thinking about it, but I'm like, I don't know.
It's crazy, dude. It's really
Tell me
good
a bit
though.
about it.
I mean, it's just
Some of my family and friends have been telling me about it a little bit.
super fucked up, dude. Like it's I mean, it's like really well well written and well paced. And they kind of jump back and forth from like when he finally got caught to him like, you know, in the interrogation, but then the actual story.
Mm.
But it'll jump from like other people's perspectives too. So like it's not really from his perspective, it's just about what he did, and then a lot of it is about, like I said, other people's perspectives and how they dealt with it. But dude, it's so fucking creepy, dude. And like that dude who plays him, this is my favorite thing that happens. It happened with Breaking Bad too. Like I didn't realize that was Bryan Cranston until like a few episodes in.
Mm.
And just because he played that character so well, you know. But the dude that plays Dahmer is the kid from American Horror Story, you know, that blonde kid.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he plays him, but I didn't know that for like I was like halfway done with the series, and I'm like, I kept thinking he looked like my brother, not Jeffrey Dahmer, but the dude that plays him.
Mm-hmm.
Just his face, like he just kept reminding me of my brother so bad. And so I went and looked him up and seen who it was, and I found out it was that American Horror Story dude, which he doesn't look like my brother, but I guess he kind of does, like in the right lighting or something. But so yeah, that's always cool. I like it, just kind of draws you in a little better when you're not thinking about who the actor is, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I want to watch some more of the American Horror Stories that I haven't seen because it's one of my favorite shows. I don't get big into horror movies, but I want to check out the Jeffrey Dahmer series because I am fascinated with like serial killers and psychopaths where it's
It's
like
crazy.
what what leads you to be like this? How is it you even like just the facts that humans are that crazy?
It's so fucked up, dude.
Like to be able to do some of that stuff, you have to just have like the most messed up mind to like the human body. Like to do that type of stuff to the human body.
I mean, it's stuff straight out of like a horror movie, yeah, but like somehow you just get off on that.
And to be
Like literally,
comfortable like doing it,
like
that's the thing, like you say, get off on it. And
yeah,
because you know, some people be like, I can't even see blood, you know.
for real.
And yeah, I want to check that one out. It was funny the other day. We were staying out of town for work, and one of the dudes I work with, he isn't like a big horror movie buff. Are you there? Did you freeze? James is frozen, frightened, stiff. Oh. All right. Little power surge.
All right.
All right. I was saying the homie is not a big horror movie buff, but flipping through the channels at the hotel room, and he's like, "Oh, Friday the 13th, huh?" And he clicked on that, and I was surprised. And it was like a newer Friday the 13th. You ever
Damn
see
it,
Friday the 13th?
dude. My place is haunted.
Oh no.
Bob Ross just popped up on my TV.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Wow.
It's actually funny. Every time I turn on my TV, that's what turns on is Bob Ross.
What?
Because I have like it's a smart TV, so it has like Samsung TV,
Uh-huh.
which is just like the internet TV, and it has these different channels, you know. But there's a Bob Ross channel, and apparently that was the last one that was watching. So every time I turn it on, it automatically it's just nothing but Bob Ross.
Dude, I heard that the Bob Ross like merch isn't even Bob Ross.
You mean it's not even his paintings?
It's like not even him or so. I don't know what it is. Like I heard something about how, Bob Ross's family doesn't get any of the royalties from it.
Oh, dang.
And yeah, something weird. But yeah, I don't know. Bob Ross and the
Yeah.
Happy Trees.
Had a power surge though. I thought it was just the computer restarting, and I'm like, what the hell? But my TV was restarting too.
Dang, dude. Well, spooky
What?
season.
You looking at my full trash can over there?
Yeah, you needed to take that out, bro.
I do.
Come on, man. You're slacking.
Just smash it down a little.
If you get any Tinder dates over,
Dude, this place is fucking clean as fuck. All right. See that
it
shit?
is actually. Looks good.
Feng shui, bruh.
It does look nice. So I was saying how homie turned on Friday the 13th,
Yep.
and I love those like thrash movies because I'm like, dude, this is so like funny.
Mm-hmm.
You can just always see it coming. They're always like, oh, right behind you.
For sure.
And like just some of the scenarios are so dumb. Like, all right, there's this one scene, like a couple people, girls getting all drunk. She want to hook up with one guy, so they're like in the bedroom making out, whatever. And then this black kid's like sitting on the couch. He's like flipping through like a Kmart catalog.
Yep.
And he doesn't even go to the bra section. He goes into like some section of like a lady wearing like a fall sweater.
Right.
And he's like, "Ooh, all right." He like grabs some lotion
It's
and
on Friday the 13th.
yeah. And then
Right.
like somebody comes walking and they're like, "Oh my god, there's a murderer out there." And then this like Asian kid is like, "Oh, you got to go to the little my dad's like boathouse to go get more booze." So he goes down to the boathouse and he's like drunk and he's like, "Oh, a basketball. I'm gonna dribble a basketball." And like, "Oh yeah, and then, "Oh, a hockey stick. I'm gonna pretend I'm playing hockey." And it's like, dude, nobody would do that.
Yeah.
Like you're out there in the darkness, you're like, "Oh, I found a basketball. I'm gonna pretend I'm like in the NBA real quick."
Right.
It's just I'm like,
I
who are
mean,
these writers? Like,
dude, yeah. I don't know. Like, I honestly think I don't think it'd be that hard to make a good movie. Honestly, like I feel like it'd be not easy, but just like with I don't know, just like with music, like you start out with something that might not be that great, but you start adding stuff and taking things out, and then kind of I feel like it'd be a lot of the same process, kind of.
well, I've always wanted to make some good movies. Of course, I've made like some home movies or some like webisode type stuff. But a lot of stuff I didn't really think through a bunch and like write scripts.
Mm-hmm.
I'd maybe kind of start to, but I didn't have a whole lot of follow through. And like that's another thing I was like, when I was talking to a psychiatrist, I was like, if I could just focus on like, say you want to write a script. I mean, like if I
Mm-hmm.
could just control my ADHD and be like, I'm gonna write this script and I'm gonna like focus in on it and not get distracted with like, well, I'm also working on this music project
Yeah.
and I'm writing a script and I want to paint
Right.
and whatever, and just be like, no, I'm just gonna focus on this one project. But I would love to make film.
Dude, yeah. I've always wanted to.
And I do like even just the funny stuff would be fun to make too. Like, see, that's one thing I love about Jordan Peele.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is they make these like funny skits, but then
Yep.
he can make like a really good serious like thriller
Mm-hmm.
suspense.
Yeah, I think if you are trying to do some drama type stuff or anything really serious, like you have to have a really good sense of humor too. Because if it's just 100% serious, like it just kind of comes off as pretentious to me, you know. So like just having those little comic reliefs.
Oh yeah.
Um, but you have to have a good sense of humor because if you really take yourself seriously, that means you probably don't have the best sense of humor. So like
Yeah.
when you are throwing that comic relief in, it's just going to be so bad, you know.
Well, and I've also had to keep in mind what I try to keep in the back of my mind is also understanding possibly like other people's senses of humor.
For sure.
And that's something I would see in like a lot of comedy movies where they're like you have to throw joke after joke after joke after joke because you might throw one thing in that this guy thinks is funny that the other guy doesn't laugh at, and then the next joke, that guy laughs at it and this guy doesn't.
Yeah, but that's just that just depends on who you're trying to make laugh, or who you think. Because
The
if you're like if
audiences.
well, yeah, like if you're a comic, that is kind of the goal, is to get the whole room to laugh.
Hmm.
I mean, at some point, but there are comics that go up there and just bomb on purpose, you know, or they just do like anti-comedy, so they're just doing a bunch of like terrible jokes that are funny because they're so bad, But that's what's cool about like stuff like YouTube and just making your own little fucking skits or just ideas, commentary type stuff, is like you're just one person doing it, like you're not going to be some comedic genius, but everybody's got jokes. Like if you're just in that mood, or you just say what's on your mind, and that's usually my jokes, is like the thing that pops in my head that probably really shouldn't say.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not talking about like offensive things, but just those immediate thoughts that you get on something, just that gut reaction, like, well, that's fucking stupid. You might not say that, but it is funny to say that. So like if you're fucking around with somebody and like the whole room is thinking it, like someone's being like, oh, maybe we should put our pants inside our socks, and nobody's saying anything, and you're like, that's fucking stupid, and like everybody's gonna laugh.
Well, and that's the funny thing about comedy is the visual comedy,
Hmm.
the words with the comedy, the sound effects, the dialogue, or monologue, and the background stuff. Where I loved that. Like I'd make like a bunch of parody movies as a kid, and I loved like Hot Shots and Scary Movie
Yeah.
and like the airplane movies. And you could also tell the difference between like black people making a movie and then white people making a movie. I guess it just and then sometimes they'd like intertwine. But
Hmm.
I love the things where it's like, oh yeah, there's a joke in the background of like the poster that's just like the poster's a parody. It's not even an obvious joke, but you just notice it in the background. Or
Right.
like the box of Wheaties in Don't Be a Menace while in South Central drinking your juice in the hood is like weed ease.
Oh, okay. Right.
And so it's like, yo, it's like a nonchalant joke that
Hmm.
you might not even notice.
For sure.
So I love
Yeah,
that
dude.
stuff.
Definitely.
But what I was
Yeah.
gonna say, actually, I can't remember.
Me neither. I was gonna say something about just um, making your YouTube channel just with a bunch of stupid jokes, you know, like, I mean, I'm not saying to do that, but like, don't be afraid of having some bad jokes or just some corny shit. But
Well,
as long as
yeah.
you're having fun and making jokes and like putting your own personality into it, like you're probably going to say some funny shit. Like I've always thought that you are just funny, just being flat and kind of saying things like they're serious. And it's just some ridiculous shit.
Yeah, you're
Because
good at that
sometimes it is.
too with your channel. And I see that more come out of you on your channel. Like, uh,
Oh, yeah.
and I don't know if that's a difference of, you know, when we're talking to a camera. I mean, it's like the same when we're talking to each other, you know, like making a joke, just talking. But
Yep.
so I was doing a video the other day of like my home studio tour, which I have made one in the past, but I wasn't really like too stoked on it. So I'm going through and editing, and you know, I'm like, you know, like, should I have been more serious? Like, you know, like I think again of like, what are people gonna think of me? Or, you know, I get all self-conscious. Should I have worn tie-dye? Should I have worn just a black shirt? You know,
Right.
or and and then like you say, where it's like, well, this is my personality too, where it's like sometimes I'm serious, but I might go from serious to a joke like that.
For sure.
And that translates into, you know, making music, making videos, making art,
Yep.
and like you say, I guess putting your personality into it, not trying to be too serious, and having fun with it.
For sure. Yeah. I want to get a little green screen or something. Cause I think that is like the easiest way just to edit shit in. I mean,
Oh,
because you could just sit there and talk to a camera. I mean, that's what a lot of people do. They'll just literally sit in their room and talk to a camera. But I like seeing things as people are talking about them, you know? It's kind of just
oh,
like
you mean
on,
like, yeah, if you're talking about World War II,
but yeah, and
you
then
see
you could
World War II
also,
behind you or whatever.
yeah, you could also, like you're saying, like edit yourself into things like different backgrounds. And like if you're just talking about a story, you could kind of animate it in a way, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But just, yeah, you could just do anything. But
Well, I've had a lot of fun with that, with the like webisode and film stuff.
mhm,
And, you know, at a point I was like, well, this stuff is looking kind of like, I can't make it look totally perfect. It looks kind of like cheesy. And so I was like, I'll just go down that lane of being like, no, I know it's not perfect. I'm feeding into the
yeah,
hokey green screen, low budget, you
yep,
know. And so I think that's another good thing to keep in mind with film is like if you can't go super Hollywood and perfect and supreme, like
mhm.
don't try to
Don't try to make it that.
make it into something that's not. Like
For
work
sure.
with what you got, and
Yep.
don't do too much. Like that's something I've had to learn with some types of video editing or graphic design or photoshopping or anything where I'd be like, what,
Yeah.
why did I go, the contrast and brightness is weird and I made it look not good by
Mhm.
adjusting it too much.
I mean, even just as far as like balance too. You're like, I've been thinking about that more often. Like it's not even necessarily so like the quality of like say you're doing like a collage, kind of like what I showed you earlier, but like everything is bad looking, kind of like degraded looking, or just, it even might be just like a straight shitty little cutout, instead of trying to get that like perfect magnetic cutout, you just might
Mm-hmm.
just do a shitty cutout. But like if you balance everything right, um just as far as like the composition, that's what I've been trying to do a lot more. Because like definitely like you can do a lot and like just really mess something up by putting way too much on it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes with trial and error or
Hmm.
studying and researching, like you're saying, Googling.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, like definitely I prefer to use Ask Jeeves.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't know that was a thing anymore.
no, I don't think it is. Um, but yeah, Google rules the world pretty much. But I don't know, there is something just about YouTube University and Google. I use it like literally all the time. Like
Yeah.
it's almost always open for me. I always, sitting at my desk, I always have like YouTube over on one screen and then whatever I'm working on, like a video program or graphics or whatever.
Yep.
And then usually like files and folders or whatever I have to work with as well.
Hmm.
And then over on my tabs on that internet channel is, Google,
Yeah.
whether it's just like I'm looking for images to work with.
Hmm.
And
Dude, yeah. I mean, any Photoshop that I've ever learned I would just open the shit up and then kind of have an idea and then just be like, how do you do that? And then just go type it in Google. And then I might only use it that one time. So I'm like, it's not like I'm really practicing that, but
well, then you start to remember it. Sometimes I have to go back and look it up again,
for
but
sure.
it's just the more you do it, you start to learn the hotkeys,
Yep.
how you get what you want. Like I remember my mother-in-law was asking me one time, like, how did you learn how to do all this stuff for graphic design? And I'm like, well, I learned some in school, but really I just a lot of times kind of know what I want.
Yeah.
And if you can see that vision in your mind, it's like I just, find a way to get what I want.
Hmm.
And
I don't know, man. Like, I feel like some people do actually like see it in their head and then be like, all right, I'm going to put this down on paper or like on screen. But for me, dude, I will just experiment. Like, I know like a vibe that I'm going for,
mhm.
but I'll just like experiment and try a bunch of different stuff out and slowly put it together like that.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes I
like
will have like a specific idea, but yeah, for the most part, I'm just freestyling.
for sure. I usually have like some sort of an idea. Like I can see a vision in my mind, but it's not like perfectly clear. So it always
Yeah.
comes out a little different. And that's just like with music, where that's the fun part is when you
Hmm.
finally do see the outcome and you're like, wow, I didn't even expect it to look like this. It looks even
For
cooler than
sure.
I imagined.
Yeah, it's true, man.
Or you're like, fuck, that didn't come out at all like I imagined. This is trash.
I just think it's cool to make something out of nothing, you know?
Being a
Like music is
creator,
like
man,
that.
that's the best thing.
That's what I always thought was cool about making my own music was like, I mean, of course, the process part of it is its own journey, you know?
Mhm.
But after the song is finished, it's like this song didn't exist like 2 days ago. And then now
True
it's
that.
here and it's like you could just listen to it whenever. Like same with art though, you know.
Well, that is I'm trying to make more beats again, trying to
Hmm.
market them better. And, you know, I'll of course work with some loops and samples and record, my own instruments or like produce stuff with synths and drum loops.
Yep.
But like when you're
Well,
creating everything yourself, it is definitely like an adventure. But it's also really fun to work with loops and samples and
hmm.
like throw things together. I mean, I use a lot of drum loops as well, where I'm like, dude, I got just stacks and stacks of
Oh yeah.
boom bap on trap mainly.
Yep.
And, of course, melody samples can definitely be used a lot by multiple people. And if it's a really specific drum loop, like you'll be able to tell.
Hmm.
And I'll hear that. Like in Beastie Boys, I heard a drum track the other day. I was like, dude, that sounds like Led Zeppelin when the levee breaks.
Right.
Or I'm like, dude, that's an iconic like drum.
Yep.
And or just like I heard something that sounded like a Black Sabbath guitar riff in one of their songs. And I'll say these things to my cousin, like there was some Wu-Tang that I was like, yo, is this a it sounds like Nine Inch Nails hurt.
Right.
Like not the exact sample, but the melody.
Hmm.
And he's like, oh, whoa, I never thought about that. I never noticed it.
I mean, I think it's pretty cool because like it's like automatically referencing something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might get it, some people might not. I think a lot of it is like subconscious too, you know. Like you hear something that sounds like it'd be from the 90s or something, then it automatically just kind of has that vibe to it. But if you're someone you're like, oh, this is he's sampling Stone Temple Pilots or something.
Right. Yeah, well, I was thinking like Nirvana came on the other day. Smells Like
Mhm.
Teen Spirit, of course. And I was thinking about that Jay-Z song, Holy Grail.
Right.
And I was like, dude, I just love how it wasn't like I don't think it was truly an actual Nirvana sample,
Right.
but it was that here we are now, entertain us. And just throwing in those little things that I'm like, man, that's you probably still have to get clearance and everything to have like similar melodies or it was like, did
Hmm.
you ever hear when Yellow Card was suing Juice World?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that not too long ago.
And they were trying to sue him because of the cadence of his voice.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know about that. Like,
Yeah.
that was a whole generation of cadence, I feel like.
Yeah, man. Like you should just be stoked that nobody listens to Yellow Card, dude. You should be fucking stoked that someone like Juice World is like inspired, you know?
Dude, true that. It's I don't know, and that's the thing. Like a whole generation of other bands have that same cadence.
Right.
And they'll still have like a new band will form today that'll still have that cadence. And it's like that's that genre of
Hmm.
like emo as
Yeah, it
well.
was like early 90s soft emo type shit.
Yeah. And almost like emo pop rock
Yeah.
in a way. But
Like Oasis type stuff.
yeah, they still releasing Lil Peep music.
I mean, I don't know, dude.
I don't know. I haven't been on the Lil Peep wavelength in a while.
Well, I feel like I would have heard about it. No like albums or anything. There's been some videos that came out just to some of his older songs.
Right, yeah. Those are always cool.
Um, I think there was one recently. I can't I can't think of it.
Well,
But
that's a lane I love as well. When it comes to music, producing beats, personally, I love the boom bap, kind of old school. I
yeah.
love the like gangster trap music. I love some lo-fi vibes and the
Hmm.
emo trap.
Yeah,
There's just something about emo trap that I just love it.
for sure. Yeah, dude, I've always like I mean, when I very first started making beats, it was 100% because of Skrillex. Like I
Mm,
just wanted to make some sick fucking dubstep.
Right.
And I never have really, man. Like, I know I could probably do it way better now, obviously, because when I started really trying to make beats, it was like, I can't even remember, 2013 or 2014 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, so I've always really loved that like electronic, almost like overly electronic, you know?
Yeah, and there is something just about the I do also like making music that's just oof, 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 like a steady kick.
Yep.
And because even folk music, I feel like a lot of times it'll just be that. It'll be like, yo,
Yeah.
this folk song is like only a kick drum.
I mean, honestly, that's all you really need. Like
It'll put
anything
you in a
else is
trance.
for sure, dude. It's just that steady. It could be the same rhythm over. That's better than having some crazy complex drums that are just bad, you know,
I've done that too.
for sure.
And
Or maybe not bad, but they just don't fit. But
no, I would literally make it like bad. It was just like
all right.
like you say, it
Yeah.
didn't fit. Like what happened when I first started making beats is I tried too hard. I didn't understand the simplicity of hip hop beats and dance beats. I came from the rock world where I would try to emulate rock drums with
Right.
synthesized drums. And, I would try to put like snare fills that didn't sound quite right or tom fills didn't sound quite right.
Yep.
Uh, sometimes too many cymbals. I'd be like,
Hmm.
I put too many crashes and rides in there. I should just kept it to like a hi-hat. And
That's one you really notice is when you start putting too many crashes in, you're like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like
yeah, for sure.
a lot of stuff, it can really sound good in the moment, you know, like just different percussion. Like I'll do that a lot if I just have like a basic drum beat and then I'll just start doing the little percussions. And I feel like you could do a lot with those if you just mix them in right, you know, and turn them way down, and it's just kind of little sprinkles and dribbles and drabbles here and there, you know.
Well, mainly, the biggest thing I had to do was more cowbell.
For sure. Yeah. I think that's when you really start to take off, man, in your
You just
in
have
your
like a whole cowbell album, like every song has cowbell.
yeah.
The wood block.
All of that stuff though, man. Like that's one of my favorite parts, honestly, is to just go through and add those little things. Going through all the
Yeah,
percussion folders.
it's cool, and see, sometimes I go a little overboard where I get like I'm being too experimental here. I have to
For sure.
tone down. I'd get like, but again, we've talked about that where it's like, oh, hold on, I added too much to this, and I need to start
Yep.
taking some things out and maybe like separate them and be like, yeah, I could still use this sound just over in this section.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that I had to learn to balance with making beats was when to keep the beats the same and when to actually change a beat.
For sure.
Like with the rock music, it'd be like, here's the intro, the verse, the bridge, the chorus, and they're all different drum beats. And
Yep.
just realizing how sometimes a simple beat is just repetitive, like riff raff. I love riff raff. I listen to riff raff like all the time.
Hmm.
And the beats are simple, you know?
Yeah.
And his vocabulary is not simple. It's like
Right.
it's like the weirdest vocabulary, but I like that. I'd be like, "Yo, dude, this beat's dope." And he just says the weirdest stuff. And
I mean, it wouldn't be the same thing though if it was some like overproduced, like Eminem featuring Rihanna type beat you know, and it's like, because he wouldn't be like the main focus, you know, it'd be more of like some like Big Sean type shit or whatever, you know. But like I feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, it just wouldn't be the same thing. Like he he shines on those types of beats where it's just like the beat could be whatever. It still adds to the song and kind of makes it a different type of song, you know. But I mean, it's just, yeah, for that type of stuff, I feel like simpler beats are like, that's one of people's biggest complaints is like, oh, all the beats are just so simple.
He'll also have really weird ones. Like they're simple, but like the sounds are weird.
For sure. Honestly, I think that's where it's gonna go, because like I feel like people are waiting for like the next new genre. And
Right.
I'm like, I don't know if there's gonna be any like new genres, but
No, yeah.
I mean there has to be, because there always is, you know. But I feel like that is one thing that's kind of setting people apart too, is their different like sound design, and like you said, the different just weird sounds and different weird textures that people have on their beats.
What I am trying to be a little bit more creative sometimes, mainly with my own music. Uh, well, okay, so like I have another new project out now, Heavy Hearted Soul. It's like a blues kind of rock, slow rock blues album.
Right.
I have another one coming out soon that's just like chill acoustic,
Yep.
like soft storytelling music. And but I do want to make something more creative here soon. I still want to work on some Tides of Maya music with you. And I
Yeah, dude.
have tons of stuff stacked up I need to send you. But I just really want to get creative with some things that are like within the song, the sections sound really like kind of different, but they all like fit together well,
For sure.
you know? And
Well, um, I mean, yeah, dude, that I think that's how it should be, kind of like, unless it is some like riffraff type shit. But even then, yeah, dude, that's always a good idea, just to switch shit up and keep things. That's like one of the hardest things to do in a song to me, is like come up with a bridge section, you know, because that's kind of the whole idea of a bridge, is like it sounds different than the rest of the song, but it fits perfectly, like coming into and going out of it.
yeah, and
It's not easy.
it and you know, musically where you could be like it starts off like
Hmm.
and then it's like just this calm kind of like ambience, almost like a sweeper thing of not really a bunch of music, some vocals and some sounds. And then boom, it really hits in again
Yep.
after like a little build up. But even the vocal wise, where it's like, you know, might kind of just sounds like this. It's almost like talking, almost like a rap, not totally. And then, "Da-na-na-na-na," and then, wow, or, you
Yeah.
know, like those, I like those changes in music.
Like Pink Floyd does it the best.
Dude, I love me some Floyd. Roger Waters was on Joe Rogan.
I seen a couple clips of that.
I know I need to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they are one, you know, say when you fill out a thing, like if you're gonna release music on CD Baby,
Hmm.
it'll say like name 3 other artists this sounds like.
Right.
And Pink Floyd is one that I really want to kind of always carry that sound into my music.
Yeah. That's awesome. I gotta take a piss, dude. Can we
You
pause it real
do?
quick?
Just go, man.
I
Just
mean,
go.
I'm I'm still building up the courage to do that on the internet.
Yeah. All right. All right. You've relieved yourself so much energy drink.
Dude,
Was
yeah.
it yellow?
No,
Pretty
it was
clear?
It was pretty clear.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll be like, oh, dude, I need to drink more water.
Well, I don't know if I don't know. These energy drinks just go right through you, man. I don't know what
Yeah,
it is.
I don't know, but it's kind of. I was wondering today because homie a group had like 3 different energy drinks
Yeah,
sitting in front of him, and he had like a Monster, a Rockstar, and a Mountain Dew Go Fast.
right.
And in my mind, I was like, people were saying things like, "Well, maybe you need to have another energy drink,"
Yeah.
and I'm just like, dude, why the multiple types? I don't know if that's like what you had,
I have no
but
idea.
it would give me such a stomach ache.
Yeah.
But he was saying, he's like, yeah, I need these to slow me down.
What?
And it makes me think of like, people with ADHD or something, how you give them a stimulant and
Hmm.
it will slow you down in a way where it's so strange.
Yeah.
But I will notice it now because I've been taking this like Ritalin
Hmm.
for a couple weeks.
Right.
And just if I sit down to work on stuff, like I don't use it all the time. Mainly just computer work.
Yep.
And but I will notice it where I'll be like, oh wait, maybe I should do this right now. And then I'll be like, what? No. I need to just focus on finishing this. And so that is one thing I've noticed
Yep.
is that I'll actually sit and focus on that one thing because I really try to self-analyze whenever I'm doing anything. Like you said the other day when you smoked and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm like, because I'm sure if you hadn't smoked in a while and then you do, it's like powerful.
For sure. I mean, I just don't think it was the best thing to do right before I was gonna hit record, because I was also like just feeling unprepared, you know.
Mm,
If I was like 100% prepared and like confident that I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have these cool things to talk about, that might have been a little different. But I was just like, I'm like, man, I have to do this today. I have to get it done and out today. And I was like pressuring myself, and then I just got fucking baked.
well, it is
Like,
weird how marijuana would also make me a lot more creative,
hmm,
which is something that I guess I kind of miss from not having any
yeah, I
THC in
don't,
my system.
I don't know what it is, man. Like, I think, I think part of it is kind of that just humbling that you get a little bit from it. Um, it just allows you to like, I don't know, not really be so like kind of pretentious with it, not be so serious, just have more fun and like for sure whatever happens when you're like your mind is forming all these different connections because you're high. I don't know
Right.
what that is exactly, but for sure that's part of it. You're forming all these different connections that you otherwise probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is. I think there's something mystical about marijuana.
Yeah.
Like it literally feels like a spirit to me. I'm like there's something about the plant and I don't know what it is, but okay, when I first started smoking, I I could meditate. Like that's when I really started to meditate. And I would probably still be like that nowadays where, you know, it's not to say that I'll never smoke again. I'll definitely never drink alcohol again.
Hmm.
But and I mainly, don't want to smoke like I did and probably not till my kids are like older too where it's like, you know, we're like adults about things and because I don't want to influence them in any ways.
Hmm.
Um But the meditation really helped me to just sit down,
Yeah,
be still, and like, and be entertained by the idea of sitting down and closing my eyes,
for sure.
which is a weird thing that, because it's like, how's that entertaining?
Well, because you have a human brain that goes infinitely inwards and you could think about anything in the world. Like, I mean, honestly, that is one thing I think a lot of people are missing. And it's like people are afraid of it. They're afraid just to have nothing going on and then see what happens inside their mind with no external influence. Like people are they're scared of it. They're like, what, I'm just supposed to sit with my own thoughts?
Dude, that's what I absolutely loved about acid was,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where, you know, it was to experiment, like to actually be like an experiment with your own mind of like, to have like a little bit could be so powerful of any psychedelic substance, marijuana, mushrooms, LSD. And then when I got to the point where I had already used so much in my life that I felt like I could control it better, like control the trips better.
Right.
And then I'd be like, all right, well, let's see how deep into my own mind, you can go and what's in there. And it is
Right.
scary. And
Yeah,
I
dude.
think that's what people say of like when you might remember things that you didn't want to remember
Yeah.
or
Or
discover
just
some things about yourself.
yeah. I mean, I think that is people's deal, but I don't know. You can't really avoid anything in life like that. Like eventually it's going to come out in some ways or you're going to find these things out about yourself. Like that's just life. Like it's a
Like, I'm a
constant.
selfish asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. For sure. Like I mean, I think back to like just shit I've done recently in my life, and I'm like, that wasn't the smartest thing to do. Like, you know, I feel like some of these things, like, you don't really know about yourself until you're in that situation. And that's why it's weird to be like just so critical of people online that are like doing something and people are virtue signaling back and forth, like, or just commenting on something, recent news or events or something. Like you don't really know what you would do unless you are actually in that situation.
Oh, yeah. Well, so this just made me think. I seen Post Malone talking. I don't know if it was a recent thing because I've heard him say it in the past. And somebody was asking about dealing with anxiety. And when he's like, yeah, I used to smoke a lot of weed and now I don't. So I think I had some stuff that might have been laced and it gave me like some high anxiety. And I don't know if he was saying in that moment or from after that moment where he's like, yeah, it's kind of one of those moments where you felt like you were watching your own life like a movie. And I remember kind of having those points where it's literally weird how people are like getting high, you know? Like sometimes I would feel like I was actually like actually higher, like my spirit or my soul was like halfway out of body
Right.
where I could almost like see from above my own head, like in a video game,
Hmm.
and be like, oh, wait, yeah, I'm not like in my head. I'm like just outside of it. But I'm still operating in my body.
Right.
And that's the craziest thing and that's another reason I fell in love with psychedelic substances was how you could change your perspective.
Yeah.
And uh,
It's it's really true, man.
Doors of Perception. It's a
Hmm.
good book. And I think, but it was also one of those things where eventually I was using it too much.
Right.
And sure, people say like, "Oh, you could drive yourself crazy," but it was like, okay, can I just get to these levels without it?
Right.
And so that's, kind of the next test is like, okay, I've seen these like potentials in the mind or whatever, and if I could just start to kick in whatever chemicals are in our brains, like
Yep.
DMT, where it's like, yo, if I could just, I'll see people be like, here's how you can breathe and kick
Mm-hmm.
in like more DMT.
For sure.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I feel like, you know, I feel like these things like uh getting high on weed and psychedelics and probably even alcohol, like those things have probably been around since people have been around, so I think it's always been part of people's like cultures, and it's probably um like we're like genetically modified for it basically, just after thousands of generations, people ingesting these things. But it's only probably in the past like few hundred years where that stuff is like super available.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just never had access to this much. Like, I mean, think of weed. Like, you'd probably come across a weed plant, like, who knows? Like, I mean, that shit wasn't around forever until someone basically discovered it in the jungle, like the Hindu Kush Mountains, wasn't it? And then they exported it from there. Like, it only grew in that one region.
Well, I do remember hearing something about the Dogon tribe,
Hmm.
and they said that these like fish people from the Two Dog Star like brought the cannabis seed
That's crazy.
to the planet. Yeah. I'm like, dude, I love that tale.
They're like, dude, you guys need this for real. Like,
Dude, this shit's like bomb.
you gotta try it.
But it's crazy because obviously alcohol is like corporate, and now marijuana, like, dude, here in Helena, back when it was medical, they're like, we don't really want this in city limits. Now
Yeah.
it's recreational, and they're like everywhere. I drive down the block, there'll be like 5
Yep.
shops.
Yep.
There's probably like, oh, there's definitely more than 20 in this town. There could be like 50.
Dude, I just can't wait until they legalize mushrooms, man. Like,
Dude, that's gonna be crazy.
I mean, not even just for myself, but like,
At least microdoses, where if they could like,
I don't know if they'll ever do that, man. Like,
I
it
think they
seems
will
like,
eventually.
yeah, but look how long weed has taken.
I
Like,
mean, it
it's
might
gonna
take
take
20 years or so.
yeah.
I feel like that's not something you can really synthesize, though.
What, like psilocybin?
I mean, I guess you can. Like LSD
Probably.
is pretty similar to mushrooms,
Yeah.
but different.
I'm not sure, man. But I just know like the way it does. I guess everybody's different, but um it definitely does make you see things in kind of a bigger picture way. And it makes you feel those things. Like you actually do feel like connected to the planet. And you just kind of see it sounds so cheesy, but it just like lets you see the truth a little bit easier, and like um but also kind of just feeling the way you did when you were a kid, when like you didn't know anything and you weren't like programmed with all this experience of living for however long.
Dude, I remember one time I had some mushrooms and I was like laying down to go to sleep, right?
Yep.
And it felt like all these dimensions were like opening up and merging where I was like, yo, I'm not just in like the third dimension or whatever. I could feel like fifth dimension, or I don't know what it was, but it was like I was like slipping into deeper dimensions, and I could actually, I felt like, you know how Joe Rogan would say like interfacing with like other beings in other dimensions. Like
Hmm.
I felt like I was telepathically communicating with like extraterrestrials that I could
That's
like
so crazy.
see in my brain, and some of them didn't just feel like aliens. Some of them felt like almost like transformer like robot things. And so I was like, dang, this is pretty crazy. So I was like, well, I can't really sleep that well. So I like turned over and looked up at my ceiling, and I started to see these like symmetrical, almost like mandalas, but not like circular. They were like diamond like.
Like sacred geometry type stuff.
Yeah, and it was kind of like this spinning, like morphing mandala crystal diamond shapes. And it looked like heavenly. And
Sounds
I,
badass.
dude, yeah. And I was literally like, felt like I was looking at angels. I felt like I was seeing like into heaven.
Hmm.
It was so, it was like a kaleidoscope, but it was on my ceiling. And it was just such a crazy, like, breakthrough feeling to be like, wow, could this be like, is this some sort of an angel? I don't know. Because you also feel it,
Dude,
which is a weird thing.
yeah. I don't know, man. It's a trip. I for sure think like an alien or an extraterrestrial doesn't have to be like a physical thing, you know. Like what people think of angels, it's like some ancient aliens type shit, but it could be just aliens, like some alien signal or some sort of being that lives on that spectrum of light somehow is just like, riding some radio wave down to earth,
True that.
and like, um, but it could be like, I don't know, dude. It could think about Bluetooth, like we're sending information, like digital information over the airwaves. Like that's insane.
Yeah, it makes me think of how, I don't know if it was like the Amish or whatever would also, I don't know if a lot of people were like, yo, we don't use electricity. We just have like fire and candlelight. Because I
Yeah.
think there's some cultures that would believe like that like demons would transfer through the technology.
I mean, that's such a crazy, like, it's like the water boy. Like
Right.
electricity is the devil.
Yeah, for sure, right?
I think
um
she says that.
oh, probably, yeah. And it's just crazy how, you could think of that with anything. It's like you say, spectrums of light, radio frequencies, elements of like, and that's what's cool about like the Native American um outlook on spirituality, where they'd be like, well, these are the gods of the thunder and lightning and of the grass. And I always thought that, like, I believe in like God, like some ultimate supreme like source of creation,
Right.
but I also like the idea of being like, yo, it's also kind of like divvied out into like, yo, like God created another god to be like, yo, this is the god of the mountains,
Hmm.
or whatever. I just like that idea.
Dude, I don't know why this, I guess it's kind of related. I You've heard of Dolly, right? Or any of these like
Salvador.
AI, no, AI art generators where you
Oh
just type
yeah.
in a prompt. Yeah. So there's a Dolly one. It's DALLE.
Hmm.
um I got some pretty cool ones to see if I could find them on my iCloud. But yeah, I was just typing in like uh Jesus coding the Matrix or something like that.
Holy.
The very, very first one was actually pretty dope. Let's see. But yeah, some of that stuff has been pretty nuts, dude. Like, not the stuff I'm making, but some of the other stuff going on. Wait, let me share. You see that?
AI created that?
Yeah, I just typed in. I guess it don't say.
Dang, that's crazy. I thought it would have been like abstract.
Well, you could choose different styles. This one wasn't with Dolly. This one was with the Dream AI.
I'm gonna try some of these, yeah.
But this is the very first one, and I'm like, dude, that's actually sick. Like, he's got like he looks like he's like reading Braille.
Right? Yeah.
But just the pose and the whole composition looks like some actual paintings. We got the Neo glasses.
Right. What
I
is
did a
that behind
couple.
him?
Just like a window.
Oh, the other thing is that like it looks like a cat tail.
Oh, it's like a paddle or a roller or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah. A spanker.
But yeah, I did a few. This one's like judge this.
Dude, that's dope.
Then I did
Jurassic
Jesus
Park.
Jurassic Park. It comes up with some weird shit. I can't remember what I typed in for
Dude, that
that, but it
one's
was
dope.
cool. It does
Whoa.
some cool shit. But yeah, these are all like, 100% original, never created. But like you choose the different styles, and this one I can't remember what it was, but a lot of the stuff will look like
That's
that, like
funny.
sunset-y.
Like click on that. It's like the globe, Earth, and then click over.
What, this one?
No, the other one. It's like goes from like a
Oh,
globe Earth to a flat kind of Earth
yeah.
thing. It's just some cliffs, but and that's another thing that I love to watch as well, just online and with all these different beliefs. Who knows with AI? Like, remember in you've seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
No,
Oh, you haven't?
no.
Oh, well, there's
I've
one
seen parts
part.
of it.
I don't know if you've seen this part, but there's like a whole alien culture in the future that they've designed the smartest and largest supercomputer
I don't know.
so that they could ask it like, what's the meaning of life?
Oh, right.
And it's like, come back here in 20,000 years and I'll have an answer for you.
Yeah.
So they come back and they're like, well, what's the meaning of life? And it's like, 42.
Yeah.
They're like, what? What? 42?
Right.
And I don't know if that had something to do with like the chromosomes or something. Like there's 42 chromosomes in life or something. I don't know. But it's just a kind of a fascinating idea with computers and how intelligent they could become as far as like you say, drawing those pictures or generating them.
Well, yeah, dude, those aren't even like um really the Dolly one is a lot more advanced. Like you could type in exactly, because like if you type in something to that one and it doesn't know what it is exactly, it'll just kind of fuck up and it'll just be like a blob or something. But the Dolly, like you could be super specific. Like I want like a zebra striped elephant typing on a laptop sitting on a park bench. Like it'll come up with that exact.
Dang, dude. See, that's also the scary thing about AI is where it could eliminate. I don't know if it would eliminate human creativity, but where it's like you could just talk into a computer and it designs it for you. The same could probably be done with music, where you're like, I want to write a hit country song about, you know, getting a divorce and
Right.
cheating on my wife and moving down to Mexico.
Yeah, dude. I don't think there's I don't know. I don't know if they'll be able to nail it until they can nail just artificial intelligence in general. Like
Yeah, and
you
that's
you heard about the Google employee who was like I think he got fired basically. And he's trying to be outspoken about this AI thing that he thinks came to life.
I did hear about that.
It's Trip. He was
I also
on.
heard about some robots killing humans.
I mean, fuck. That's coming up, dude. Those Boston Dynamic robots.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen those recently?
Are they the ones that'll consume?
No, you've never heard of the Boston Dynamics ones?
I'm not sure.
Dude, all right, we gotta watch this. I mean, I remember seeing you've seen like the big dog ones, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Big dog. Hanging with the big dogs. You mean
That
like,
yeah, it was like a big robot dog. The This is the Boston Dynamics one.
okay, yeah, I've seen those.
They're crazy. There was one they just did recently.
Yeah, I've seen the dogs.
I think this one came out a little while ago. Yeah. No, but like the big dogs from back in the day, like I remember when I first seen that and I'm like, oh shit, this is it. See right here.
And I've seen some of the suits that they've made that are almost like Elysium suits. But they
This is a
were,
big dog.
they had a power cord.
Dude, this is what freaked me out the most.
It's
When
like
it
some
skids
District
around on its
9.
it's
What it
so
makes me think
fucking
of.
scary, dude. I was back in 05.
Dude, yeah. It's just insane how artificial intelligence, it's a scary thing. But I don't know. That's what's fascinating about, okay, and that's what I think about psychedelics too, is like people would talk about Silicon Valley microdosing psychedelics and designing technology, right? Because in my mind, I'm like, dude, that's when I would be the most like inventive and creative and get some of the most like mind blowing ideas. Not when I had like a lot, but if I had just like a microdose, I'd be
Yeah,
like, dude, my ideas are just fucking
right.
genius. And then, people out there that are microdosing all the time and like designing computers and new technologies. And I felt like this a lot too when I would be creating under the influence of psychedelics. And I've heard Alex Jones say this about people in Silicon Valley, where he's like, the thing is, they're not just getting these ideas from themselves. They're, again, like interfacing with extraterrestrial beings. So they're getting this information to create things from beings beyond just this physical realm.
I mean, it fucking could be, man.
Where people are like, aliens are giving us technology.
Yeah, we're just downloading it, man.
Dude, that's the thing that trips me out about like the Matrix or whatever. Like you're talking like when I was saying I was tripping on the mushrooms and kind of in between like dimensions or whatever.
Yeah.
And it literally felt like waves. Like I was like, whoop, oh, I slipped into this other like, I don't know if it's like delta waves, theta waves, alpha waves,
Mm-hmm.
but it literally, that's the crazy thing, is it's the idea of like receiving a download. Like I remember one time taking a piss when I was tripping, and I just felt like I was just like flooded with information.
Yeah.
Too much. It was like the whole everything just went through my brain, and then I like forgot it all.
Right.
I don't know what that is, but I don't know, people, maybe that's the rush people get from like speed or some dopamine rush where they're just like a huge blast of dopamine,
Mm-hmm.
and then it dies out and they crash and like, wait, what?
For sure.
But I don't know. There's something about, and that's what this, the great thing about creativity is if you can capture or create something out of those thoughts. Yeah, that's what's good about podcasting, I guess.
For sure. It is, man. Yeah. I mean, shit like that, like, we're talking about AI generated art. I think there's always going to be something, because even all that stuff is just, it's referencing other things that people have made. I mean, nature stuff too, but like it's like referencing something. But there's always going to be something about like human made art, music that's like a little bit imperfect or could only come from that person's mind, where like, like we've been saying, like it's not like you're necessarily coming up with these ideas, but you're just like the antenna that gets to translate that into something that is like never would have existed before. But I do think the AI stuff is like, it's pretty cool, man. There's
I'm not
some,
opposed to technology.
no, it's gonna happen. Like even AI music, like I'd be pretty interested in, like I'd be following some like AI influencers or something if they were actually coming up with, not them, but like, or maybe them, but if they're coming up with music that is actually AI generated. It's not like this character on Instagram that is being voiced by some like real person.
Right. Well, I have a couple topics. I'll get to the other one in a second, but you know the song The Who Teenage Wasteland
Yeah,
or Baba O'Reilly is what it's actually called.
right.
And you might already know this. We may have talked about it. You may have just already known that that was like they had some sort of a computer or a synthesizer that they typed in uh like this dude's name and birth date and maybe some other traits about his life. And that's what created the beginning intro of like
Hmm.
so that was like an AI generated
Okay.
synthesizer sound, which is weird. I've never heard anything like that again where I don't know if it was like they literally typed it in and the
Mm-hmm.
computer's like, all right, we're gonna take this person's identity, turn it into a
That's a
sound.
trip.
But the other thing I was gonna say was, are you familiar with the band Falling in Reverse?
Yeah.
Ronnie Radke?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about the recent drama
No.
that he went online? He's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, we're gonna cancel the show. We went to do our sound check, and all of our laptops are missing, and those are used for our show."
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of Eddie Trunk, like a radio host, podcast host, mainly like an old rock guy, you know. He went on the internet talking trash, being like, "What, man? All these bands nowadays that have to have like a laptop to perform in a backing track or whatever. And I just seen the Jackal perform, and they didn't have no laptops or nothing, and that's real rock and roll."
I guess, man.
I don't
I,
know.
f-
So
I feel like people like that are just like digging their claws in to the past. Like it's, people were saying the same thing about just having a synth in rock music. They're like, this ain't rock music.
yeah,
Back in my day, we only had like, you know,
two guitars, a bass, and drums.
yeah.
Yeah, it's I guess it's just one of those topics you hear people argue with, and I used to be like opposed to that in ways where until I learned to utilize it and to blend it in with live instruments, like it's not to say that you have to have you know, like a backing track that's literally the whole song and you're up there like miming it. But
I mean, you could literally do whatever you want. Like the no nobody can stop you from making like the worst work music in the world, or just like trash noise, or putting synth in your rock music. Like nobody can stop you. You can literally do whatever you want. So really, you know, people might as well do stuff that is like whatever sounds good to them or whatever's fun to them, you know?
and whatever, you know, depends on the type of show you want to put on. And if because the thing about it is I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm sure that band can still perform, and they're obviously performing,
Right.
and I'm sure that these bands can still perform without the laptop, but will they have all the same sounds?
Yeah, I mean, I get like the idea of it. Um but it's the same thing with like just like auto tune, and same thing with, you know, people performing over backing tracks. Um like as long as you're not using it to replace something that you could be doing live, but like if it's adding to it, you know, because I don't like that. Like I would rather, I don't mind a backing track, even if it is just as loud as the mic feed. But as long as you could hear the person singing live, you know, I don't want to hear the whole song just backing track and them rapping over it, you know.
Yeah, like the actual song that was released.
Yeah, but like if you if you do have a bunch of parts in there that has backing tracks in it, even if it's the main hook, like that's what everybody does.
Oh
But
yeah,
if
to
you're
amplify it up and be like, yo, the hook kicks in. And
yeah, but if you're like if your mic is off and you're just lip syncing to that, that's one thing, you know, but you
well,
still
but
have
the
to
thing is,
perform though, you know.
yeah, and the thing that's interesting with backing tracks is you can, you know, you could take that recording you made and be like, all right, we're gonna remove these elements,
Yeah.
remove the bass guitar, remove the lead guitar, and these other things. You could even leave a few in there that are like, you know, we're gonna have still like these 808s and
Yep.
some of the drum clicks in there where it's like, yo, we got a little 808 and some hi-hat stuff and a few of the
Mm-hmm.
electronic drums. But we have also live drums behind. But
Yep.
you know, to have your performance, it depends on what type of show you're putting on. If it's completely
Yeah,
organic, or if you're following a grid and a click track that's like, yo, this is how the song is structured. Or
for
if
sure.
you're the Grateful Dead or String Cheese Incident, you know, it's like we're a jam band. We go off and do like crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's all about what you're trying to do. Um I don't know, like I was saying earlier, like I really like the like heavily synthesized kind of like computer sound, like something that sounds like it came from a computer, you know,
Hmm.
but because that stuff never existed. Like I think part of the reason why people hated synth in a lot of that early rock stuff was because people didn't know how to do it yet. You know, like no one really got that good at it right away. Like you hear some stuff now and it's like, I mean, some of those bigger songs, just like you're saying, the Who song, and you
Pink
know,
Floyd.
yeah, dude, Pink Floyd for sure, and the Doors, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. And that's what they were saying. Ronnie Radke was arguing because I think he got into it with Sebastian Bach from Skid Row. He's like, man, I'll fucking take you on. I'll show you real rock and roll. And Ronnie Radke's like, dude, people have been like having this stuff since the 80s.
For
Like,
sure.
you might not think that, but and they might not have been
That's
running a laptop, but they had tape or whatever, being like, yo, play this before we go on, or this it's just part of the show. And people were also lip syncing back then. You
Well,
know,
I
and they go
mean,
on the Ed Sullivan show. I don't know. It's not like some of
right,
these TV programs let you just wing it.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I've always done backing tracks. I've had to do some where it was straight up just like over the whole song, just because I didn't have my live mix or anything.
Right. It's
But
not bad, especially like people will get off
like
anyways.
if you're like Adele, then yeah, people want to hear you actually sing, like or if you're like Frank Ocean or something.
Oh yeah.
But if you're just out there rocking out and you're fucking, I don't know, like even Post Malone, like it just depends on who you are, like what kind of artist you are. Post Malone is like people want to hear him sing too, but if you're, I don't know, Kodak Black or something, like people aren't really super focused on like, what, like how he's singing and how he sounds tonight. Like,
I think you can have a good hybrid of elements too if you're that creative
yeah,
of an artist. And I remember seeing Riff Raff one time. People were interviewing him about like performing or something. And it's like, here's the thing: you come to see me in concert, I might not get all my lyrics right. I might forget some things, but I'm not there to get every single lyric right. I'm there to party
yep,
and like
yep,
be like, yo, this is a good time.
for sure.
And so that's another thing that I had that as I was, I guess, developing, you know, as an artist, especially coming from a world where it's like, no, dude, you got to play this song exactly exact. The guitar goes like this, and
Yep,
and then had to like loosen up and be a little free with it, but at the same time, keep that balance between no, this is how it goes, and this is how to, kind of wiggle around. Because even when I put backing tracks together, I'd hear other people perform and they would have um like their double on there of like, you know, I was at the party and then it was rocking. Like if you're it's not really an ad
mm-hmm.
lib, but you kind of double up on a few words.
I think people would consider those ad libs.
Yeah. So sometimes they keep those ad libs in there. And I've tried that, but sometimes when I had like I like to leave like some chorus like backing vocals sometimes, but if I put like verse ones on there, I was like, dude, sometimes they actually mess me up.
For sure. I
And
feel like it's best to have them like not so much as those accentuators, but the ones that like will keep you on track. Like if you
mm-hmm.
might forget like the very first line of a verse, like or like the first line or the end of a line, somewhere like that, but I don't know, man. Like you can get so creative with it, or you can just rap over the actual recorded track. Like, I mean, it just depends on what energy you bring. I feel like the more effort you put into it to like make it better, then it's going to be, just like if you're trying to do something live and you have the ability to be like, okay, well, I don't have people here to hype me up, so I'm gonna be like my own hype man. And just because it brings that energy, and I don't know, man. I feel like it's just such a weird thing to like argue about because most people don't care.
Well, and they're not like it's funny that they would argue coming from like an 80s rock head. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, you're arguing with a band that's from after the 2000s. Like they've been
Yeah, what do you
working with this
expect?
technology
For
since
sure.
they were like started, and they've been like rock band. But
Yeah.
and I guess that's the interesting thing about it. kind of lost my train of thought, but I really
Oh,
can't remember now. I think it was just about those like technologies and, you
yeah, dude.
know, maybe I was saying something about backing tracks and how I don't know. We were talking about hyping yourself up. Oh, I was gonna say DJs.
Yeah,
That was another thing I like had to get used to coming from a rock background was
right.
I would see a DJ and I'll still hear people talk trash on DJs like, "Oh, push play DJ." And I'm like, "Well, say you could see a DJ just getting a crowd just like vibing, you know. And this place is just bouncing and everybody's having a great time and that DJ is just making everybody feel like, I love this song. Yes." And they might just have a track list and they're going this track to this track, slide them together. They don't always have to be the most like and doing like all this crazy stuff. And that was something I had to get used to as well, where it was like, you know what? There's all sorts of different ways to get a crowd
Yeah,
amped.
it's the same with anything, man. Like, it could be movies or it could be music, but it's just what you do with what you got. And like, if you know what you're doing and what you're trying to go for, like, it's just so many different examples of different types of creators that are successful with what they do, and they're not really focused on like being that, like, oh, I see this example of this other band who's like rocking out with, this type of gear, so I have to do it like that now. It's the same with YouTube, like you see these different creators and some of the trends that they're following, and you're like, oh, I guess that's what I have to do, but you don't really, like, you could do anything you want. And I mean, some people are going to fuck with it. And, you might even be like ahead of your time just by doing your own thing. And you might come upon something that's like gets really big for you. And then all of a sudden, all these other guys are jumping on that wave. Like, I feel like that's just the way. I mean, I guess it's a lot of it is with TikTok and like everybody wanting to be a YouTuber. Um, Like, there's all these different trends, and some stuff is coming back. But I definitely think it is more of like a personalized thing, where it's more about just like following this one person.
Hi, Hendrix. Yeah, it is. And something I try to think about when I'm even making stuff with my family. Whether, it's like it's one thing to kind of document our lives and like we're going on an adventure, we're having fun playing this or that, but to also get creative with the videos where it's like I like to think of stuff like that and I want to do it more where it's like, okay, we're gonna do something really fun and really creative and develop this. So it's kind of becomes like your thing a little bit where, people when they come to your channel, they want to see you, you know, doing these certain projects. And I think that that's the only way you can find your niche amongst a saturated market is like you find that thing. And like one time we had a Domino's video go like semi-viral or something,
Mhm.
And I was like, yo, if we just made a bunch of videos like this as well, like, oh, one of the things we like to do is make really cool Domino's things.
Yeah, it could
And
literally be anything.
yeah. And it's just kind of once you keep doing something like you talk about it starting a channel where you kind of do a little dive in on a topic and
Mhm.
it's like yeah, if you released one of those a month or one a week,
Yeah,
you'd have the regular uh audience and retention where they want to watch that video from beginning to end.
for sure.
And like you said with the Jeffrey Dahmer thing, where it's like because of the way you put it together.
Oh shit. My headphones just died.
Oh
Something did.
shit. Well, I
One
was
second.
actually
All right.
well, I was actually thinking of calling it here pretty soon.
Word. Yeah, how long have we been going?
I think it's been about 10 hours
5
now.
hours?
Yeah. Probably like
For
2.
real. Something like that. Let's see. Sent the first email at noon.
Oh, dang.
12:12. So
12:12. It's divine.
yeah, dude.
Well, it's been
It
a good
was
chat.
yeah, 7-0.
Too dang, man. And this time I actually kind of wrote a few things. I'm gonna start going through these, chopping out little sections, uploading that on the channel too. So
Yeah, dude.
like, yo, there's a little 5-minute section of us talking about the Ronnie Radke or Jeffrey Dahmer or
Yeah.
AI.
I I seen the like the kind of new style of thumbnails that you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
I was thinking about changing it.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe.
know. I would just experiment, dude. Just try different things. One thing I would say though is I feel like I've been seeing it a lot more, maybe just because I've been looking, but I feel like it's better to put the faces like pretty much as big as you can, you know, where it still fits in the screen. But
Mm-hmm.
like, because people are seeing these on their small phones, and even if it is on TV when they're scrolling through the videos, like the thumbnails are still pretty small, but just to have that face bigger, I feel like that's something more people do.
Yeah. All right. I'll make them bigger. And the other thing I was trying to think of was I want to make the background simple, like one color instead of like a,
Yeah,
and maybe not even have like a bunch of words. Might
right.
even just have like one little talk bubble
Mm-hmm.
and not necessarily be like, I don't know. I'm just gonna experiment with it and see what works best. And because it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy how much the thumbnails actually impact.
For sure. It's the first
Wow.
thing people see.
Yeah. Well, sweet brother. I guess I'm gonna get to editing the thumbnail.
Word.
Well, thanks for another chat, homie.
Yes,
You're
sir.
doing another podcast of your own?
Yeah, I am.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Hell yeah, man. Me
All right,
too.
brother. Well, love you, dog.
Love you too, bro.
And I'll talk
Number
to you again.
7 now.
7-0. All
Hell yeah.
right, have a good rest of your day.
Word. All right, you too, bro.
All right, peace.
Later.